Hi everybody. So my name is Monica, um, and I kind of wanted to talk about a little story that I had. So as a teenager, I remember growing up watching TV series on Animal Planet. So there were specific shows such as Animal Cups Phoenix, or as many of you may have even heard of, Pit Bulls and Parolees. Um, it always brought great anger and just sadness in general, seeing families and animal owners and the way that they treated their animals, basically like taking advantage and not really showing the sense that they really cared about their animals. There was one episode in particular that really stood out to me, and I haven't forgot about it since. It was an episode about this horse. So it, someone had called in and reported that they seen a horse that was severely malnourished. So as the police or animal rescuers came to the location where the horse was found, you could see that it was severely malnourished. The bones were appearing out of its rib cage, and what really um, or I guess what really brought sadness inside me was the fact that you could see on their hoofs that um, they hadn't been trimmed in such a long time that they were starting to curl. And it just kind of made me realize, like, how was the horse walking? How was it able to get around, to be able to feed itself, to drink water, or anything like that? Um, and then, not to mention, another fact is that in the same area that there was another horse that unfortunately didn't make it. Um, so it just, in general, it just really brought great sadness to my heart. So today, I'm going to persuade you to adopt a pet from a shelter versus purchasing from a local pet store. So, did you know that approximately 6.5 million companion animals enter the U.S. shelters nationwide every year? If we want to break it down, that's approximately 3.3 million that are dogs and 3.2 million that are cats. That's a rather large amount of animals without loving homes, if you really think about it. I mean, bringing this into like personal background, I do have some family friends that all they do is adopt. So that they strongly encourage going and finding an animal from the shelter and adopting it and giving it their forever home, you know. Or also, being able to watch the TV shows that encourage, finding someone that wants to give it the love that it deserves. Or websites as well that encourage adoption. So the overall preview of my speech is basically, so we're starting with my main point one is you're saving a dog when you're adopting from a shelter. Um, On to the next point would be adopting is affordable, and then shelter dogs are housebroken. Um, so in regards to main point one, so you're saving a dog when you adopt a dog from a shelter. Adopting a dog can really save his or her life. Before adopting a dog, he or she could have been scheduled to be euthanized or switched to multiple shelters before finding a home. Each year alone, approximately 1.5 million shelter animals are euthanized. If you want to break that down, it's 670,000 dogs and 860,000 cats. This is just in the US alone. So this isn't even taking into consideration other countries where there are large amounts of animals. Um, and if we were to evenly divide between the 50 states, you're looking at approximately 30,000 animals per state alone. The population of the city practically it could be the same amount as having a population of a small town. Back when Nampa used to be a lot smaller, even though it's growing. The last time I had gone to volunteer at the Idaho Humane Society, I could easily see that there were over 25 dogs and around 15 cats, not even taking into consideration the other pet shelters that we have in the area. That was just one shelter alone. Um, Another thing is, so most dogs have been put through so much before coming into a shelter. They could have been abused, used for dog fighting, used for breeding, mass breeding, um, not taken care of well, being chained up, homeless, or simply just because the owners just realized that they didn't have time for their dog. those reasons give you all the right reasons to give him or her a home so that he or she can start a new happy life with you. When adopting a dog, there can be so many to choose from, different sizes, different breeds, and definitely different personalities. So you kind of get to decide which one best fits you and your family and bring not only your family happiness, but to the dog, something life-changing. Um, Moving on to the next point. So I've talked about the positive aspects. Now let's talk about being able to afford to adopt. Adopting is affordable. Dogs coming from a shelter, so many of the things that you want to take into consideration is that they've already been vaccinated. They've been treated to their diseases before becoming available to adopt, which means you don't have to spend money to do that. You don't have to spend money on shots, any kind of necessary medications that would that get these diseases removed. Which instead, what happens in this case is that there's just the adoption fee. So if you were to, like, taking this into consideration, if you were to purchase from a purebred, from a breeder, there has been known facts to where purchasing a purebred can cost anywhere between $500 to $3,000. And what does that get you? Where it just gets you the animal itself. That's not even taking into consideration all of the immunizations or shots that an animal requires, or if you even want to consider spaying or neutering the animal, that can cost cost up to like $150 alone, just basically ensuring if you're not wanting to have the animal procreate. Um, so buying from a shelter usually can cost you anywhere from $50 to $150. Sometimes it can be higher, and that just basically goes. It's basically just for caring for the dog while being inside the shelter alone. Um, as much as you want a full bred, their lifespan is shorter than a mixed because they're prone to health problems. So something to take into consideration is that those that run puppy mills run the risk of they don't really necessarily identify the health problems that are genetically given to the animals that grow. So it's continuing to bring that those health implications, which can cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, depending on what the case may be. Uh, so in the sense, you should definitely adopt if you're looking to save a puppy without investing so much money. Um, let's take a look here. It's even said to have been thought that vets or animal doctors, they tend to believe that that mutts are healthier animals because the being grown in a puppy mill, you're not being surrounded by all that mass disease or mass infections that can be spreading around. Another thing also, so moving on to transition, or I apologize, so moving on to main point number 3. So shelter dogs are housebroken. Um, Most shelter dogs are already taught simple commands and trained. Puppies from a pet store may be cute, but can be a lot of work and time consuming to take care of. Instead, if you can find an older dog that has been trained and make having a dog, it could easily make having a dog much easier and fun for you. Sometimes it can be known to take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks for a dog to get used to you in your home. But once they get used to living a good life, they become the most loyal and happiest dogs ever. You are also changing his or her life from being in a cage, feeling scared and hurt, to a happy home and make a new best friend. They're puppies that aren't trained. If you are looking for a puppy and want to take the time for him or her, then of course that would be an option. Um, so we've been given pretty convincing evidence as to why we should consider adopting pets versus purchasing from a local pet stores. I've done this by telling you that you can save a dog when you adopt. Adoption is affordable, and shelter dogs are housebroken. In response to this speech, I would like everyone to take a moment and think about those animals in need. even if you're not able to adopt an animal now, there's still something that you can do. So even consider donating to the ASPCA organization or other nonprofit animal organization. You can help provide food or shelter to those animals still out there in the streets and in need. If you just go to aspca.org, you can donate as little as 63 cents per day. Helping vulnerable animals and keeping pets in safe and loving homes requires a commitment from all of us. Advocates, pet owners, shelters, leaders, and entire communities. When we work together under a common cause, we're both saving lives and elevating our society and its laws to ensure cruelty victims and other at-risk animals receive the protection and care that they deserve. Thank you for listening.